Sweet. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Between Two Bookshelves.
First ever.
Yeah, literally the
Between Two
first ever. This is going to be super fun, actually. I'm really excited about this. I mean, books are just, like, key.
Yeah.
Like, education is just key. And so, today, this past month, Ashley and I had the opportunity to take a look at a book called Unfuck Yourself by Gary John Bishop. This guy is pretty good. Pretty much, I mean, did you, like, in general, did you like it?
Yeah.
Did you not like it?
New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
It has been really fun. I actually listened to it on Audible. So I listened to it while I was working out, doing all that kind of stuff. And so it was a super easy listen, and I thought it was really great overall.
Pretty much, he gave us, like, it was like 7 manifestos, I guess, or 7, like, self-affirmations that we get to use, I guess is how you can call them. I forget the exact word he used, but he kind of gave, like, 7 key things that you need to have in, like, your life and believe. Yeah, what you need to believe to, in his words, get your head out of your ass, basically. Like, and literally unfuck yourself. Like, get yourself unstuck, I guess.
His tagline is, get out of your mind and into your life, right?
Yeah,
is that what it
out
is?
of your mind and into your life. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know before I had, like, my whole calling and my plan in my life, I don't know if I was ever, like, in my life. And I don't know if I was ever... And now I feel like I'm in my life a lot more. Like, I have my life by the reins. And so this book was kind of, like, affirming what I already had in my stage in life. I don't know what you...
Well, for me, a lot of it was kind of interesting because I was able to take what he said and use it as a way to reflect, too, on how I was whenever I was younger, because I always have had a plan. Like, I've type A, graduated early, wanted to get things done, wanted to go to dental school, always had been that way. And I'm obviously not in dental school, not a dentist, not a doctor. And so things really changed for me, and that was a really hard hurdle to overcome. And so I think this book was a really interesting way of kind of shining light on everything that I had gone through and experienced, and shines light into the future, I think, too, on how to better experience changes like that. We've been having some quotes of the day every day to kind of just set our mindset right. And one of the quotes I think that Attilio had is, the only consistent thing is change. And so this book, I think, is a really great way to kind of set yourself up for success in that way.
Yeah, I like that. I guess we can go right into the criteria. I don't want to, like, ruin the books.
Yeah.
Right? This is kind of more of, like, a review to just kind of get a little taste, like, understand sort of what's going on, and then... really just kind of give our take on some of the on our 5 criteria, which are, if you didn't see our teaser, it's readability, relevance, how applicable the book is, our value versus the expectation, and then we have a secret sauce, our secret criteria, which is the butterfly effect. And so we're going to kind of review those and just go over them a little bit. As far as readability go, I guess we can just go about one by one and then kind of give our scores and give a little explanation.
Sure.
When it comes to readability, how readable do you think it was?
It was super easy. Like, as far as vocabulary that was used, very basic. He was constantly just trying to get the point across and get it across well. And so there wasn't anything that really made it a difficult read, I would say. So we're ranking out of 0 to 2. And hopefully by the end, this book will be rated out of 10. So I would rate that a 2 on readability, which is the best that it can get.
Yeah, I think I would rate it a 2 as well. It's a pretty short read, super quick. There's 7 things he wants you to get out of the book. And he goes into some affirmations, goes into some examples. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I think readability's done and
easy.
Done too. As far as relevance goes, how relevant do you think it is to the topic of... I think it's technically categorized as like a self-help book.
Yeah.
How relevant do you think it is to that?
I think it's pretty relevant when an author goes into it with... now, Gary John Bishop has been a kind of I don't want to say like a life coach, but he has coached a lot of like really important people. And so he is an expert on the subject and has these key principles that he knows well and is trying to teach to us. And so I think as far as that, it's really relevant. On the opposite end, though, is it really technically unique from it? I think a lot of what he does is kind of, he's really blunt, and I really actually enjoy that. He tells you, stay away from the bumper stickers. Not everybody is special. Like, your problems aren't unique. Your problems aren't worse than everyone else's. Like, there's always somebody, like he talks about, you're probably not like a child in Somalia was one of the examples that he uses. And if you went even just to the outskirts of your town or to the other side of your town, you could probably find somebody who's in a more difficult spot than you're in. And so I think that's unique about him, as the way that he's framing stuff, like stop feeling sorry for yourself. When a lot of self-help, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but typically are like, you're so special, like you can do it, you were meant to be this amazing person, this one-of-a-kind person in this world, which is true to an extent, but a lot of people really grasp on that. And so he kind of took the opposite approach. You're not special, like get your head out of your ass, like Attilio was saying, like you have control over your life and the way you make it. So relevance, I would probably score, can we do decimal points?
Yes.
I would probably score 1.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think on relevance end, so the whole book he was quoting Stoic philosophers. Mm-hmm. So the whole book there was a lot of Stoicism happening in there, and Stoicism to me in itself is like literally the penultimate self-help, because it's literally like, if you had to bear everything on your shoulders, if you had to do it, could you, and how can you do it? So literally just basing the book on Stoicism, I'd already give it like 1.5. And then he in my mind took it one step further. He added one extra philosophy that he had read recently, on like, I think it's kind of a peculiar scenario where he like saw something on social, and he thought about it and added it into the book. Mm. And so to me, that signified that he didn't just create these 7 philosophies 20 years ago when he was first reading through Stoicism. To me, he has kept up with some of it, has looked at this and adapted and changed with maybe how self-help needs to look today. And so that's kind of how I understood that. So I'm actually going to give it, if I could give it like 1.75 or 2, I think I'm going to give it a 2. Just on the fact that straight up Stoicism, I mean, literally that's like self-help to me.
Our boy Gary John Bishop is 2 for 2 with Attilio.
Coming out the gate strong. I might have a few other things later.
Okay, cool. But so next up we have, is it applicable? And on our teaser video, part of what I said to explain this category is, do you have to have some pre-existing knowledge or education or training to be able to understand and apply this to your life? I'd say no. He was pretty straightforward and explained, if it wasn't exactly like understandable off the bat, he would spend time kind of going back over that. A lot of the things that he would say is like, let that soak in, or go back and read that one more time. He would use that a lot, and then he would explain what to do and how to do it. And so I think that it was very easy to apply if you chose to apply it. And that's like the big thing about self-help books. Like, even Gary John Bishop was saying, like, you can read 1 million self-help books, but like, you have to be willing to make the change, or are you willing to stay where you're at? That was a big thing that he said. So overall, I think that this book was pretty applicable. I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't give it a 2, because I don't think it's like the best of the best of the best. But I think it's pretty good for what it is. And Gary John Bishop's really good about kind of calling it as it is. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to rate it at a 1.5 again.
1.5?
Yeah.
Solid. As far as applicability goes on my end, so here's the thing with applicable. This book is extremely powerful if someone is willing and ready to start doing something. So to me, he doesn't give like, maybe not specifically like tactics. Some people use these books just to like scratch an itch, right? They're just out there to read something, to feel motivated for 3 days, and then it's on to the next thing. And so I think if you're giving this to the right person, it's highly applicable. But if you look at like an 80% of the market kind of thing, I don't think it's super applicable. Just because I think a lot of people are just complacent.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just like where they're at, what they're doing.
Or they don't dislike it enough.
Or they don't dislike it enough, or they're not happy and they don't know what to do, and they just let that consume them.
Yeah.
And so at that level, I think it's very applicable. But will someone actually take this and then like use it as the roadmap? I don't think so.
I hope that I will.
I think it gives you everything.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I really think it gives you everything.
To be fair, though, I'm 95% certain that there is a workbook
That's cool.
goes along with this book. We did not do that.
If someone seriously wants to really you want to change your life, or you really think that maybe you're in a funk and you're like, I just gotta get out of this funk. I think maybe with the workbook, I mean, just the book is good if you're already like a dedicated or motivated, proactive individual. But if like really just look deep down and you're not proactive,
right,
or you're not someone, or maybe you've bought other books in the past and you're just in this slump of just reading these self-help books for 2 minutes, but so maybe with the workbook, I think it might be more applicable to more people. But as just the book, I think it's really only applicable to a small market that's already proactive or in it to win it. I'm going to give it like a 0.5, to be real.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I see the points of each of our arguments, but I mean, I'm on the spectrum where I'm going to be the one who would apply it. Really quick before we move on, I wanted to ask you what you thought about the business application. So this is good for anybody and everybody. You don't have to be the businessman. You can be anyone who wants to just read this book. I think it's great for the entrepreneurial mindset personally. I think that it speaks to that type of person. But what do you think about that?
So I was trying to read it as if I was still working at my family restaurants and I was like washing dishes. I was trying to read it with that mind frame. With like, yes, I am proactive. Yes, I run a business. Yes, I, obviously I want what's best for me. I want what's best for my people. Like, I think this book speaks to that and does that. But I was really, really trying to read it from the angle of, if I was a dishwasher, if I was a low value person, or someone if someone doesn't think that you're high value, I was trying to think of it as that person. So like, if I'm a receptionist that wants to change my life, but I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to start. Maybe having the right mindset is really the first step. And so that's how I was really trying to read it. And that's why I came up with this applicable, my applicable score, because I don't know. I feel like I would be motivated for a little and be like, hell yeah, that sounds dope. But then I don't have the strategies maybe to navigate that. I don't know how to get out of my space. I don't know how to build up my value. I mean, yes, I know how to build up my confidence, but maybe I don't know how to build up my value, or I don't know how to get out there and take the risk. I don't know how. So that's really what I was trying to.
I think for sure it is more powerful. I was reading it and trying to apply it more to my personal life. There's so many business applications for sure. It's not lacking on the potential to apply to businesses, but I will say whenever he was giving examples and kind of walking you through things in your mind, all of my thoughts are going to my personal life. So while between two bookshelves, we hope that it's business centric, I feel like this book on this scale kind of lands right under the halfway mark between self and business.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I think so, yeah. I think in a lot of cases, especially for smaller business owners, it's harder to separate who you are and who your business is. And so I can definitely see that, but also, yeah, the applications can be for both. Like, I think everybody has like that dream or that idea that they think if they could just get it out there, if they could just do it, it would take them to the next. I loved what he said, and I think this fits more into the relevance, but people are wired for success. People are wired to win. And I believe that, because if you weren't wired to win, you would take one breath and then just stop breathing. You know, like, you're wired to win. You're wired for success. Success is that next breath, you know? Success is that next thing. And people are wired for it. People don't just sink, you know? So this is a business, this is a mindset, this is a personal. I fit it, like, between the two, if there's business and personal on a spectrum, I think it'd be in the middle.
Okay. Cool. Well, what would you rate it? You said
0.5.
0.5.
Yeah,
okay.
0.5.
All right. The next is value versus expectation. Now, I didn't really have a whole lot of expectation going into it. I saw some people commenting on our stuff saying this is actually a really great book. But beyond that, and beyond where it sits in the New York, bestseller, I didn't really know a whole lot about the book, so I don't know that I have a whole lot of expectation to hold it up against. What about you?
I would say New York Times bestseller. That just puts a high expectation on it. I mean, it was I think on Amazon, when we were looking at our Amazon lists, it was up at the top for some bestsellers, New York Times bestseller. I mean, so to me, that just speaks to he's either really good at marketing or people care about it enough to refer it to someone. So that kind of put my expectations pretty high. And so I guess on the scale for value, I think it was solid. I don't think it's something that people couldn't have found somewhere else. A lot of it is like Stoic philosophy. I don't know if Gary John Bishop enriches it enough with his own life, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, this is like a slice from someone who is doing something, who is changing. Like, it wasn't his story necessarily. It may have even come across better as if it was like just quotes from philosophers, almost. Like, obviously it's not as digestible like that, but so I wasn't super blown away with the value. I think he consolidated it, and I think he did a good job with that. And I think he did like enrich it and add his own like spices to everything that was kind of going, and so I think it was pretty good. But obviously the expectations are pretty huge if it's a New York Times bestseller, top of the Amazon list. I mean, lots of recommendations. We had all those people saying, "Oh my god, I can't wait to," you know, like. So expectations were kind of high. I would honestly probably rate it like a 1.5. Probably, let's call it 1.25.
Okay,
let's call it 1.25.
Cool. I gotta say though, I did the Audible, like I was mentioning earlier, and having his Irish, he's an Irishman.
Or Scottish?
Scottish.
Ooh, this is bad.
I don't know. Having his own like flair with him reading it and his own like twang in there, it did make it a little bit more piercing. I gotta say, because it was coming straight from his mouth, and so the emphasis on the certain words and the certain sentences were there. I think for me, value versus expectation, it definitely didn't disappoint me. I gotta say, it didn't disappoint me. Didn't blow me out of the water though, either. So I think I'm gonna hit right in the middle out of 1.
1?
Yep.
So I like that. And then our last criteria.
Butterfly effect.
Butterfly.
My favorite. This is such a fun criteria to come up with, because I think a lot of us, some of our motivation comes from the excitement within. Like, there's automatically when you hear something, or whenever you are reading a book, or like the other day I was talking to our amazing videographer, and I said to him, "Are you ready to make $1 million?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I just got really excited." And so it's just that feeling that when something pumps you up, kind of like the tingly butterflies in your stomach. And so that's where we came up with the butterfly effect. And for me, I think that this book was good, and I did have some moments where I was like, yes, like, let me hear that again. But then at the end of it, I was like kind of cool, calm, and collected, and not really super pumped to go and do it. Does that make sense? Like, I think it kind of fell in the middle. I think this book is maybe not necessarily directly made for me, and so maybe that's what it is. But I gotta say that there were some things where I was like, oh heck yes, and then other things where it was like more okay. So I think for me, I would rate it like at a 1. If we're doing 0.25, so I'll do a 1.25, because it was better than just right in the middle, but not quite like I'm ready to make these changes and take my life to the next level type of butterfly.
This is my key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Butterfly Effect for me, I think it was motivational, and I think it was thought-provoking. It was hard. So I feel like I'm in my stage in life. I'm already like working in this direction. I'm already like trying to apply these things. A lot of it hasn't like this isn't like new, right? This is like tried and true is the angle that is kind of like. I mean, if you're pulling from Seneca, like Stoic philosophers, it's not new, right? So it existed already, and so I've known about some of this stuff already. As far as like the impact, the will to make changes, I might make a couple things here and there. I think I just took like one or two clips out of the book that I was just like, hell yeah, that's good, that's sweet, that's right on it.
Same page, yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't like overly blown away or overly felt like I was super like involved in it. I've read some real good books where it was like,
can't put it down.
This is the future of my life in my hands right now. And this is a good roadmap. This is a good, I wouldn't even consider it a roadmap. I'd consider it as like, this is a good direction.
I think what I said earlier, like the light to the path.
Yeah.
Like kind of like the lantern showing you the direction to go, but like maybe not the next necessarily like path or.
This is the key to the door. To
yeah.
The
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd give that I'd give it a 1. I'd give it a 1 there.
Yeah.
And so total, you want to total this up real quick?
Yeah, I will.
I
have my little notepad here. So I had a 2, 1.5, 1.5, 1. Wait, oh, what did I do? Value versus 1.25, and then a 1.
So I think I gave it a 6.75 out of 10.
Mine was 7.25 out of 10. So not bad.
Not bad.
I would say.
Overall, good book. Like really, I really do think it was a good book.
To Bishop's credit, I think that like Attilio's touched on the Stoic philosophy that he really intertwines within the book, but like it takes somebody who like knows it, has applied it, and has like the balls to bring it into the present because it's from the past. Yeah. And so he has to be like really confident in that way of thinking and how he has applied it to his people who he's coached in his life, to bring it to the future and to do it well. That's something to be applauded, I think. Yeah. So
overall, good score. 6.75, 7.25.
Yep, 7.25.
Good scores, man. I'd recommend the book.
Me too.
I was talking to a client yesterday, and I recommended the book. So
yeah,
I guess that's why it's a New York Times bestseller.
Thumbs up from us, for sure.
I guess that's why it's a New York Times bestseller.
Can't argue with that. So. But we have a new book coming up for the month of February. We'll have it right here. So if you guys really like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up so that we can keep doing this. We're not in between 2 bookshelves today, Attilio.
We're not in between 2 bookshelves. So I was looking at a couple bookshelves. I was like, we'll grow this as we get some good feedback and as you guys kind of grow with us. If you want to donate to our bookshelf fund, we might put it together. I think we were looking at some like good bookshelves and we were like, I don't know if we have good space here. I don't know. We might be able to figure something out, but we can see what happens. We have books, but no shelves for the books. Yeah. So we might need to figure that out.
But if you guys like this book, make sure to let us know how you felt about it. If you've read it in the past, if you've reread it with us this month, let us know your thoughts, what you ranked it as. We're really curious to know.
Yeah. How would you rank it? Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And then make sure to share this with someone who is considering the book or someone who has already read it. I'd love to see what they have to say about it. Or if they are still using it, 3 years down the road or something.
That's something that's interesting.
That might be really cool to be like, oh yeah, I think of Unfuck Yourself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I refer back to it, like, can we have a revote? No, there's no revote.
Let me clear that up now. But yeah, we're our own virtual book club. So we hope that you join in with us. I think this will be a really great thing. Like I mentioned earlier, we really hope that it's kind of business, entrepreneurially centric. We picked our books out to frame that. We have a couple of wild cards though. So if you guys are interested, please stay tuned and we would love to have you viewing between 2 bookshelves. Catch you next time.